This is your friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man. Create insane 3D pop-out images on Instagram. Here's how. Play tape. And cut. Can I get makeup? Hey team, welcome back to the channel. So obviously I'm not Spider-Man, but how cool would that actually be? And I can't physically climb walls, but metaphorically speaking, we are in COVID lockdown. So listen team, a big shout out and thank you for all the support on my first video. All my new subscribers, you rock dudes! So the wonderful world of Instagram. Back in June of last year when I had a very respectable 400 followers, I decided to trial my very first 3D pop-out image. The post did pretty good. I got lots of nice comments, I got more likes than followers, and I got a bunch of new followers to boot. Hey! Fast forward 4 months to October, and I just tiptoed over the 1,000 followers checkpoint. I posted my second 3D pop-out image, and boom! Everything changed. I got well over 6,000 likes, 95,000 impressions. It was reposted by other accounts 52 times, big ones too. Got me 4,000 new followers and inspired other creators to do the same. I'm going to show you how I did it. I need you and you. Okay, camera settings. We're on aperture f11, shutter speed 160th of a second because I'm not doing anything fast moving, and ISO 100 for maximum image quality. Okay, so other gear. We've got a Scrim. This is to reduce the harshness of the sunlight. It's on a regular light stand with a sandbag so we don't blow away. That is a reflector bracket. Break it down. Switch to live view and cursor the focus box over to where your face is going to be. Or do it the old-fashioned way. Measure the distance between the object and lens. Fail. Dial in the distance using the focusing distance indicator. With a 24mm lens in portrait orientation, favour an angle shooting slightly from below. This will add to the believability of hanging from a wall. Then position yourself on the edge of the chair nearest to the camera. Using a remote control on a 2-second timer, fire off a couple of shots. So welcome back to the editing suite. Right, so the original idea for this Instagram post was that I wanted to somehow reach outside of the image and into the text part of the post. And this creative fairy dust sprinkled all over me, and I had the idea of actually interacting with one of the buttons. Ideally, I wanted it to be the like button. Okay, so I've got my image open in Photoshop. I'm just going to create a copy of the background layer by Control or Command J. Then we'll take the pen tool and we're going to create a path around me and the wall. Just going to whiz through this. Okay, that's great. Now we're going to make a selection at 1 pixel radius, and we'll OK that. And then we're going to create a layer mask. And just underneath this layer, we're going to add a new layer, and we're going to add a fill color so we can see the selection a bit clearer. I like this green color. I'm going to OK to that. Brilliant. So we just need to tidy up the areas that weren't masked out. So I'm going to use the quick selection tool. Now we're just going to select this part of the wall here, section here, and this section here. And we're just going to make sure that everything is selected properly around the laces. Okay, now select the mask, and then we're going to go to Edit, Fill, and choose black because black conceals. And we just need to tidy up some of these tiny little areas, so we're going to choose a hard edge brush, quite small, and foreground color as black, and we're just going to fill in these little areas here. I'm just going to whiz through this section. Okay, to make this look convincing as a kind of climbing up a tower block Spider-Man kind of vibe, we need to get a background image that suggests being up high. Choose a picture on a free stock image like pexels.com. This one is perfect. And then we're going to import it into our picture, our main image. We'll just place it, and we're just going to bring the layer underneath the main layer. We'll rename it City, and we'll position it just nicely behind me so there's a bit of separation, and get the horizon line so it's believable. And we'll rename this Mark, for that is my name. Now we're going to just straighten up the vertical angle of this image. So choose a new guide vertically, and then we're going to place it over where the line of the wall is. Then we'll just use the transform tool, line it up. Okay, so we just need to sort out this bum area, which looks a little deformed. So we're going to create a copy of the Mark layer, and what we want to do is stamp down the image and the mask so we can manipulate the image. So how we do that is by applying the layer mask. Now we can manipulate the image, so we'll head up to Filter and Liquify, and with the top button selected, which is the forward warp tool, we can start nudging the shape of the bum so it looks like we're not sat on a stool. And a little before and after, and that looks pretty good to me. So next up is we want to blur the background to create some depth. Create a copy of the city layer, then we'll go to Blur, Gaussian Blur, and we'll add a radius of around 8 pixels, a little before and after. That looks pretty realistic to me. And now we need to color balance me to the background. So we're going to use the color balance adjustment layer. We're going to clip it to the Mark layer so it doesn't affect the background. Now we're going to choose the shadows, and we're going to introduce some cyans around 23, 24, and some blues around +5. And a little before and after. That's matching quite nicely. So we're just going to continue with some color changes, and we're going to convert this to a smart object. This little symbol shows that we're now a smart object, so we can enter into the camera raw filter. And first up, we're going to desaturate, just generally around -10 is fine, and just bump the clarity, not too much, don't go too mad with this. And the oranges, we're just going to desaturate slightly. And lastly, we're going to add a gradient and darken that part of the wall. Perfect. Now we're going to add some haze to create more depth. So we're going to add a new layer above the city layer, and we'll rename this Haze. And we'll take a large soft brush, set as white, and we'll just dab a few times behind me. That's nice. And we'll just change the layer to a soft light. A little before and after. That works nicely, although I'm just going to add a mask with the foreground color set to black. I'm just going to remove that haze from this nearest building here. Before and after, excellent. Next up, we'll need to get an Instagram template. Go to your feed and choose an image. Be sure to include 2 lines of text and then make a screen grab. Save the image and send it to your computer. So we have our screen grab from Instagram. We're going to use the rectangular marquee tool and just select this part of the image. We'll Control or Command C to copy, and then head back to the main image, Control or Command V to paste. Then we'll place it in the bottom left hand corner, use the transform tool and extend to fit. So we're just going to tidy up some of these layers. We don't need this city layer or the green layer anymore, so we'll just dump those. And we'll just tidy things up. We'll rename this new layer Instagram. And next up, we're going to select the mark, the haze and the city layer, and with the move tool we're just going to nudge that up into place. With the rectangular marquee tool we're going to select the message box, Control or Command C to copy and paste. We'll rename it as message, and with the move tool we're going to nudge that over to where the heart used to be. We'll just disable that layer, back to the Instagram layer, get the rectangular marquee tool, select the heart, Control or Command C to copy and paste, and then we'll rename that like, get the move tool and then nudge that over to where the message box used to be. And with the transform tool we're just going to turn it and commit the change. Perfect. So next up we're going to disable the mark layer so we can see things more clearly, and then we're going to head up to the object selection tool, and with the like layer selected we're just going to create a selection of the heart. That's done a pretty good job. We're just going to fill in the gap with a quick selection tool so we miss nothing. Just tidy things up here. Great, then we'll head up to edit, fill, choose color and then a nice red for a heart and commit those changes. That's lovely. So we'll just turn back on that layer, and we just need to sort the wall out now because that's still in the way. So we'll just create a layer mask of the mark layer. We'll create a rectangular marquee tool selection of that part of the wall. We'll head up to edit, fill and choose black because black conceals, and hey presto, the wall is gone. Next up is the text. So we'll create a new text layer, and we'll use this font here, which is Euphemia UCAS at 40 points. I found that this one is sort of closest to what Instagram uses. I'm not entirely sure what it uses, but this will do fine. And we're just going to highlight the Spider-Man and make that bold, and the number as well. Then we're going to put this into a group, and underneath the text layer we're going to draw a rectangular marquee box, and we're going to fill that with white, and with the group selected we're just going to move that over the original text. Fantastic. Let's create some more text. I'll just whiz through this because you've already seen how I've done it. Okay, we just need to add a little bit of a fleck to this heart to make it look a bit more three-dimensional. So with a medium edge brush selected on a new layer, just going to add a little bit of a light fleck. And one more thing we need to do is add a shadow to the hand. So we're going to just create one more layer, name this shadow, and we'll choose a brush, hardness down to 0, and importantly take the flow down to 3% because we can overdo this very quickly. And we'll just start painting gently behind the thumb and the fingers. A little before and after really makes that look three-dimensional. And finally, we're just going to crop to a 10:8, just get rid of some of that funky wall that's showing there. And this is now ready for Instagram, so we'll just export it as a JPEG. Quality 72%, width 1080 by 1350, and export. So the reason I export at 72% and 1080 pixels wide is because Instagram likes to compress images that are deemed too large in file size. If I was to upload this full high-res image, the Instagram algorithm would produce its own version of this image and of more inferior quality than, say, Photoshop could produce. So after months of experimenting and posting to Instagram, I've actually found that 72% quality gives a consistently good image without them compressing it. So there you go, a couple of free pearls of wisdom there. I'm gonna go and put the kettle on, cue the subscribe button.
And cut.
Seriously, where was makeup?